information. I want to pick up on a point though, and it's directly related to your question that David made about the tunnel vision and the investigative component of the investigation to Michael Peterson. And I was reflecting on this very issue in discussion with him prior to coming on stage in the green room about tunnel vision and whether investigators go in with a very narrow, myopic focus. And the answer, I think, my experience moulded from a state policing experience, 3 federal agencies, and being around this justice system in Australia for a while is, yes, I think it is tunnel visioned. Because if I reflect back on my own training, the entire predicate starting point of learning your craft as a police officer and investigator is an assumption of guilt. Because you are taught as a police recruit the elements of an offence, what you need to do to be able to prove each of those elements of the offence, and everything that is in that tuition, in that curriculum, indeed in the templates of investigation that get given to you during and after you leave the police academy. It's all about inculpation. So it's all about finding the evidence that supports the hypothesis of guilt or whatever theory that one might come up with when attending a crime scene. You walk in, there's a staircase, there's a woman at the bottom with this blood splatter, he's killed her, he's beaten her over the head. I'm going to find as much evidence as I can to support that hypothesis. Anything that is either neutral or is exculpatory or counters that, I'm going to ignore. In fact, I'm just going to push it to one side. And for the last 3 decades, that has been the modus operandi of policing. Again, I'm cautious in using that word. There has been some checks and balances put into that modus operandi by the jurisprudential system, in that there was this body of evidence coming up through cases like the staircase where it was quite obvious police agencies were not allowing even the defence team, let alone the courts, to see information, material evidence that would exonerate. That was just pushed away into the archive boxes. But as cases became prominent and they were heard, there was an identification of this pattern of police ignoring exculpatory evidence. And now, depending on the jurisdiction or where you might operate, there is an obligation on investigative agencies to produce that information, either on the subpoena or even voluntarily in some cases. And so I think it is changing, but, and I'll finish on this point because I know it's going to open up another area of topic that you wanted to discuss and David was wanting to canvass, is a good investigator will usually go into a crime scene and form a working hypothesis fairly quickly. That's just the nature of what an investigator does. But a good investigator, opposed to a bad investigator, will keep an open mind for other hypotheses, won't close their mind off.